Court interpreters serve as officers of the court. They are sworn to faithfully interpret everything exactly as it is said, adding nothing and omitting nothing. There is an interpreter's code of ethics that defines proper interpreting practices. While this code is not imposed by statute or by the courts, it is a well-established code in the profession, and it usually has court approval. All professional court interpreters should know it and follow its principles.
Schleiermacher defines the relationship between the translator and interpreter as one where the interpreter applies his trade in the area of business, while the translator proper works above all in the areas of science and art, with the areas of science and art being best served by the written word. Interpreting scientific or artistic products aloud would be just as useless as, it seems, impossible. Every written interpretation should be seen only as the record of a spoken exchange. However, this feels incomplete, misunderstanding, and a discredit to interpretation as a form of communication.
So I've learned, before I became an interpreter, I had no idea there was a difference. I've been educated by my colleagues that interpreters, and kind of makes sense, interpreters are live in court, because when you interpret for somebody, you're not just interpreting what they're saying, but you're also interpreting their behavior. Translation work is strictly in the written form.
There's more overlap than one might think between the two. Guts, in his paper Translation as Interlingual Interpretive Use, proposes, among many other things, a restructuring of literary theory taking concepts from interpretive relevance theory. While we're not deep diving into Guts' literacy theories just yet, we can take inspiration from his ideas and consider, what can we learn from interpreters about our own writing and translation? Local DFW Master Court Interpreters Manuel Murillo and Irene Vera talk about their experience, which can hopefully help guide and provide inspiration for your own thoughts on translation and direct translation.
So when you are interpreting, let's say in a hospital setting, you are there to advocate for the patient, okay? In other words, you can even ask things like to clarify, if you get the idea, the notion that the patient isn't understanding, you can actually say, I don't think he gets it, or I don't think she's understanding what you just said, right? In a court setting, no, we do not advocate for the person. We interpret what was said, and then if the witness or the person that's on trial doesn't understand it, it's up to them to say, I don't understand that. Okay? One thing that we deal with a lot in the court system is when attorneys talk, they talk like attorneys, right? But a lot of times their clients may have a first or even third grade education. So we do something called keeping the register. When we keep the register or maintain the register, if the person talks like an attorney in English, we bring it across and sound like an attorney in Spanish. If the witness is speaking in slang in Spanish, we're going to bring it across as slang. And
if the attorney is asking a really sophisticated question with like complicated terminology, I have to use the same register in the Spanish language. If the witness is using slang, if he's saying bad words, even if I'm like on the witness stand in front of 12 jurors, I have to use the slang. I have to say the bad words.
If the person is speaking and they're kind of being very shy, very soft-spoken, to a certain extent, I try to maintain that. A few of my clients have told me that that's what they love about the way that I interpret, because if the person sounds agitated or upset and they're yelling a little bit, then I kind of bring that out, but in the opposite language.
Is that an industry standard, or is that something that you in particular do?
That's something that I do in particular. I'm actually not sure if it's like an industry standard, because I have seen some other interpreters working, and I feel like they're very robotic, very monotone, I guess is the word. But I don't know, maybe I was supposed to be an actor or something. I never did it, but.
And another thing that I do is use like my hands And I have been told by other colleagues that you're not supposed to use hand gestures, but I do.